Josh, the first game, Harden drops a 30-point triple-double. You got to call the show, bro. That's the rules. Big Mike! Depressed Sixers fan, RJ Lucas. Donnie Zoom Zoom. Yeah. My bad, everybody. My mic keeps resetting to 100%, man. I still can't figure that out. What's going on, my people? Sorry if I blasted your eardrums right there. This is Run It Back Philly and the Philly Talk podcast in the same place at the same time, talking to you about the upcoming Philadelphia 76ers season. This is Philly Mike, Philly Talk Podcast. Mike, I know you've been absolutely crushing it with the Eagles content lately, man. Covering all the ins and the outs, every single little intricate detail. So anybody that's into the birds and is not watching Philly Mike at this point, what are you really doing? But Philly Mike does jump into this Sixers stuff, and he does it well. So I figured I'd hit him up and bring him on here, man, and we'll chop it up. What's going on, man? Oh, I muted you. Hold on. We'll chop it up. What's going on, My bad. Go ahead.
It's good to be a Philly fan right now. We're not ever going to be talking about Phillies on this channel, but at least they made the playoffs like a 10-year drought. And now, the Sixers are looking like a squad that went as much in as they could with James Harden on the roster, taking a pay cut. And we're looking to get out the second round. The preseason, Tyrese Maxey taking that step. That is the main factor in this season being more successful, along with Joel Embiid's health, Harden being more Harden-esque, at least last year Nets Harden, and then just the key pieces we added to it just being scrappy like Trez and Tuck.
Bro, yeah, it looks crazy good. It looks crazy good. I know it's just 2 preseason games. I know. But it looks crazy good right now. So that's where we're going to start because this is a polarizing topic in just 2 preseason games, the James Harden thing, because I'm a little bit shocked at the negativity. I shouldn't be shocked at the negativity from just Philly fans, or maybe it's just Twitter and Facebook. Maybe I just need to stop reading the internet every day because it's nothing but negativity. But what I saw from James Harden in his first preseason game this season, he looks like he's in the best shape he's been in since Houston. And I'm not saying he's going to play like he played in Houston, and I don't think we need him to play like he played in Houston. But I think he looked like he had a little bit more elevation. The couple drives to the rim, he looked like he had a little bit of more air, a little bit more hang time. Last year, man, he really just looked like he was stuck in the mud, like cement in his shoes. You know what I mean? So all I'm really looking for is for him to look better than that. You know what I mean? I know he's 33. I know he's not 26-year-old, 30-point per game James Harden. But there's still people saying he's washed. I also think people are taking a preseason game a little bit too seriously. Like, do you really think James Harden went out here and said, I'm going to go 110% on the Cleveland Cavaliers in a preseason game? So, you know what I mean? I think the overreaction is a little crazy, but I think James looks like he's in shape, and I think he has that quickness back, and I'm excited for it. I'm interested to hear what you think about what you saw from Harden in that first preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's the type of player who has done everything but win a championship, right? And so preseason games don't mean a dang thing to him, right? Joel Embiid comes out, he's 6 for 13. The guys who are established in this league are going to come out rusty in preseason because they don't care about it. Shoot, they take regular season games off. They take regular season games off. They're not worried about a preseason game. And so in the same way you could say, wow, did you see Tyrese Maxey? But I thought you don't care about preseason games when it comes to Harden. They're two different type of players. Maxey's trying to show that he belongs in the NBA. And although he's rising up, he still wants all the smoke. Where Harden is like, bro, look at my resume, relax. I played 25, 30 games with the Sixers. I had a hamstring problem. It's a long season. Let me chill. So I just want to see him take more of a, he never really had a mid-range game. It was cool to see him working this offseason with Sam Cassell, kind of working on the mid-range. We heard in the Doc Rivers soliloquy that, there might even be some, stuff that's not figured out when it comes to how Harden can really be himself ISO-wise in this offense, trying to get Maxey involved, still having Tobias as a guy who plays heavy minutes and needs the ball in his hands too at times. And then Joel Embiid, he's the leading scorer for a reason. So he's still trying to find his role. I just think that, efficiency-wise, score when you need to score, but just be a little bit more efficient. But we cannot act like assists don't matter. Right? That's how Ben Simmons made his whole name, assist and defense. So the assists are up from Ben Simmons, and I think we're going to get more scoring there. And then Maxey, where Maxey fits in, will allow Harden to be what type of Harden we need.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. So, like, do you think, from Tyrese Maxey's first two preseason games, I like the way you put that because, we want to compare right away. We want to compare, look what Maxey's doing in these preseason games, and Harden came out and he had 8 points, 2 for 9 from the field, and everybody, I think people that mostly like get off work and just look at the box score automatically like, oh my God, this guy's, he's terrible. You know what I mean? And I was just watching it. I just wanted to see, did he have that burst back? Did he have that speed back? Did he have that crossover? And he takes what's his name, Dean Wade, and makes the dude fall over with the crossover. So I don't think you've seen James Harden cross somebody up like that since he was in Houston. I know it's Dean Wade. I don't know why he was out there in the first place trying to step outside the 3-point line and guard him. But that's all I'm really looking for from James Harden. But so you can't really compare the two performances. You're right, because Maxey was out here like, I'm going hard. I'm going to get buckets. I'm going to show everybody. And now there's a narrative that Tyrese Maxey, and I don't know if he is or not, but Tyrese Maxey will grow into the number one option on this team. And one of the main things I wanted to talk about, because somebody asked me in a phone call last night, is do you think Doc Rivers is going to slow down Tyrese Maxey from what he's doing right now? Do you think Tyrese Maxey doing this in a preseason game, is that possible with Joel Embiid and James Harden on the floor, or is it just because it's a preseason game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the tough thing. Now, going off what we heard, and again, Doc Rivers knew that he was being recorded when he was talking in practice, right? So he tried to make sure he said all the good stuff that Sixer fans want to hear. Look what kind of coach I am. Listen to what I'm doing. But he did tell Maxey, I know you bring the ball down and you look at a guy like Tobias, you look at Embiid and Harden, but you still got to get your shot. I'm not telling you to force something, but call a play for yourself. You are becoming who you are for a reason. And so off that, I'm going to take it with still with a grain of salt, but I think that this is the year that he can. I think that no matter what Doc says, as a pure scorer, Harden has came down that a little bit because he's not as athletic to go to the rim. The step back is good, but when he's off, the step back could be, let's relax on it. And he is a great facilitator, and he will garner defense out there like someone else didn't do. However, late in games when it got to be taken over, it's hard for a center to create his own points. And that's why I think Maxey needs to be more involved. He's been a second half player last year. You know what I mean? He starts off slow. That second, third quarter, or that third quarter, fourth quarter, he comes in clutch. I do think that I won't go number one offense because we had a leading scorer, or not number one option, but crunch time, he's going to be one or two with Joel Embiid, and it's more built in today's game for a guard to get his own bucket than a center.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you be like, if we get close to the end of games, you know what I mean? Say like first 10 games of the season, there's like a close one, overtime, and you kind of see Harden bringing the ball up the whole time and really running like ISO or two-man game with Joel. Would that like annoy you a little bit? Because like you said, you expect Tyrese Maxey to be there this season. And I think he can be there too. That's the only thing I think that was kind of missing from his game so far in his very young career is that, he added the 3-point shot last year, went from 30% to 42.5%. He seems to be adding more of a mid-range. He just seems like he's getting so much smarter with knowing when to shoot a floater, when to stop and pop, when to bring it back out. Last night, he hit like a drive and skipped the ball to the corner to Tobias. That's like a point guard play that I don't think I've ever really seen him make. That's really a Ben Simmons play when people used to step up, before they started just hanging back 20 feet or guarding them with their center. But yeah, he looks like he's learning a lot every single day, man. And I was blown away by the jump that he did in one off season. This second off season, I'm not even going to put a ceiling on it because there's like no limit to what he can do. But do you think Doc is on the same page that we're on? Because I think we could say whatever we want. I think we're always like, this is what should happen. And then we get into the game and we're like reminded like, oh my God, here we go, man. This dude's about to play, who was it last year? DeAndre Jordan and Paul Millsap for like 40 straight minutes and doesn't give a damn what the fans say or any media members. So I guess, are you worried at all that Doc Rivers isn't quite on the same page as us with Tyrese Maxey?
No, just because the jump has been like so eye-popping that anybody and everybody can see it. I think that's why, whether he fully believes it or not, he let that little clip be out there because Tyrese Maxey is growing at a alarming rate for being the 21st overall pick. This is not football where you don't find many guys in the late first, second, and third. It's like top 15 and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, have fun. You might get one or two. And so for all these people to pass, mainly because of C19 and just the fact that what he didn't have in college, he's now doing at a, top 20 player level. It's not like he added a baby three or this, that, and the third. He's grabbing, as you said, from being a better passer to the mid-range, to the corner, to the floater, to him being, hey, I called it last year. He a top 5 finisher at the rim. Mm-hmm. Like, when he gets into the lane, it doesn't matter who's in front of him, 6'11", 7 foot, he finishes at a high rate. The sky's really the limit. And James Harden is still going to get some James Harden treatment from Doc Rivers. He's going to do it. But I need it to be, and I think it will be, baby steps throughout the season where we go, an 8-game stretch with, any close game, we're going to let this guy close it out. 8-game stretch, any close game, we're going to let this guy go and throw it out. Because the regular season in today's game is all about, getting your seating where you want, figuring this out and that, staying healthy, and finding out what you guys do best. And it's clearly been seen that there's still kinks between Maxey, Harris, Harden, and Embiid. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing. It's because you supposedly have so much talent. That is why. Harden's like, man, I've been the guy everywhere I went, minus, the Nets. And he's like, now I got to defer to Embiid. I got to make sure I get the young guy Maxey in. And it's a good problem to have because they will get it done. They still haven't played much basketball together.
Yeah, it is a very good problem to have. It is. It really is. And, speaking of all of the talent, another problem that we've had, I guess, cap-wise, although Harden did what he had to do this offseason to help it out, but the Tobias Harris has been the highest paid player on the team for a couple years now, and we all just, I guess we just got used to it, you know what I mean? We realized I already knew you can't trade him with that contract. He's just not a superstar player, and he's paid like a superstar. So me personally, I've just accepted the fact Tobias is not getting moved. You're living out this contract. They might trade him on the last year of it, which is, I think he still has 2 left with this season and next season. I think I'm right about that. The chat will probably let me know.
This year, yeah, this year and next.
Yeah. So I just saw a little bit of an interview, a little clip on TikTok or something like that on Instagram. Tobias was being interviewed, and he said, I had to check my ego this season. You know what I mean? And I think Romp or somebody told me last year that Tobias Harris believes that he's a number 1 option on this team, and that was a problem last season because you'd see a lot of times where he takes the ball and we're like, bro, either shoot it or pass it. Like, this is not what you should be doing anymore. And he would, get back somebody down and take like 20 seconds off the shot clock and all that. So I heard him say, I had to check my ego. So I think he's like finally like, all right, I'm the 4th option here. Clearly, like Harden, Embiid, Maxey. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to find out I'm the 4th option. I need to get rebounds, hang out in the corner, and shoot threes. Do you have faith that maybe I guess Tobias Harris finally understands what that role is? I think he did that last season to a pretty well when Harden got here. He really worked on, and even said he's working on shooting the ball quicker, catch and shoot. But I think I wanted to see it improve. So, you know what I mean? Do you think he's accepted his role now? And now it's out there. He had an ego for all the people that didn't think he did because he admitted it. So he said he checked it.
Yeah, I think once Harden got here and we had the little honeymoon series where we were smacking on the Knicks, smacking on a couple teams, we were like, la, 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 right? We saw Tyrese Maxey's game actually take an uptick in statistics. We saw Joel Embiid still being dominant. Harden looked good. The person who couldn't find his footing, so to say, was Tobias Harris. And he was the hardest one to now come around, like to what, like you were saying, be more of a catch and shoot guy, being in, out of the paint a little bit, letting these guys like Embiid and Harden work and just being ready to catch and shoot. And then I think, again, he saw how Maxey flourished in this offense throughout the end of the regular season and in the postseason with James Harden here. And so whatever he thought he was, it took him it took him longer. It took him the whole time last year with Harden being here to adapt. But I think this offseason really woke him up in the sense that Maxey's only getting better. Harden is now getting healthier, and we see him slimming down. I'm really I try to find my spot in this offense, and I thought maybe nights I could be that second and third guy still. Wasn't working, and now I really, really know that Maxey's getting better. I'm capped out. And this offense, maybe they're running sets, and he realizes now this offense does run better if I take a back to the back seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope he does, man. I hope he does because I've said for a couple seasons that it's not a bad thing to have Tobias Harris as a 4th option. You know what I mean? He can score in the right situations, and I just you don't want to see that 15, 20-second ISO. And he's him and PJ Tucker is another interesting dynamic for me. You know what I mean? I don't know who the power forward is. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's positionless basketball. Both guys are just really supposed to hang out in the corner, catch the James Harden pass off the pick and roll, and shoot threes. Do you think there's any issue with either of those guys playing the small forward technically? Because I think they're both in today's game really a stretch power forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think offensively, you'd probably want PJ lingering around the 3-point line, preferably the corners, taking Danny Green's side. So I think when we have the ball in our hand on offense, he's more of the 3. But on defense, if we had their 4 being physical, then I think you got to let him play the 4. He's more the physical guy, where I think that Harris can match up with more of the small forward types who wants to play inside I mean, outside and in, not really coming up to the 3-point line, but guarding mid-range and stuff like that. I think on defense, they flip-flop, but on offense, you still want him remaining in the corners. Looking at Tobias, though, like I said, I think being able to be more flexible with this 3 and 4 is also going to help him. And I do want to see Doc start, using him more in the second unit, not being a backup player, but in a sense that, when you have the D'Anthony Meltons and the Shakes and the, who knows if Furkan's still in the rotation or not. I know your boy Rob loves him to death. I seen the clip you guys always post. You just posted the other day. Regardless of what he's doing, right? We have a little bit more of a sturdy bench. I think again, the ISO, the way he can't fit this starting offense, and now that you got maybe Harden being more efficient, maybe Maxey being more aggressive, and Joel being Joel Embiid, you can use him more in the with the second team, and he can have guys around him because he can pass pretty good from the post too. So I still think that gradually he got to be the starter, but be one that can come off first to be in there with the second unit a little bit more. Just say he plays out of 100%, he plays, 65% with the starters and 35%. Get it more of a, 50, almost a 50-50 with Tobias. And I think his skill set will be useful still.
Yeah, man, he brings that hustle, that dog mentality to this team, man. That's for sure. We saw last night, just in a couple of minutes, he was on the floor. He's diving on the floor, and then getting 2 offensive rebounds in the same possession and keeping the play alive. Philly's gonna love that dude, man. He's so what this city likes to see in athletes. And speaking of that, man, Montrezl Harrell. I love watching this dude play so much, man. It's just like, I've never been so interested in a preseason game. Yesterday, usually I'd be like, all right, the guys aren't coming back in the second half. Am I really going to watch this? Do I really want to watch Jaden Springer and Furkan Korkmaz run around? But I was like, nope, I get to watch Montrezl Harrell, man. This is great. And dude's going hard the whole game, dapping up the fans and screaming and yelling at people in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, man. I'm excited for Montrezl Harrell. I like to get to find out what you think about Montrezl Harrell, and if you're as excited as I am with just his mentality and the way that he plays, man.
Yeah, look, ever since that 6th Man of the Year season for him with the Clippers under Doc Rivers, whether that's going to be something important to notice this season or not, he's always been a legit dog, right? When you think of the guys like Pat Bev made a career of being a dog, Tucker's made a career being a dog, and now Trez he's just the most physical, undersized guy in the league probably today, because he is undersized. What is he, 6'8"?
Yeah, 6'7",
6'9", 6'7"? Sheesh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he's very undersized, but the ability to get offensive rebounds, clean up the boards, and just his flexibility. He's not going to shoot no shots for you, but he's a guy who throughout his career, if he gets 15 minutes, he's getting double-digit points, and that is what he's going to get from on this team. And even think about DeAndre Drummond. Yeah, he grabbed rebounds, but he wasn't a guaranteed 10-plus point scorer. Dwight Howard did some good things for us, grabbing boards, playing back up for fit. The 2 centers we loved having here, which, again, we're talking about 2 7-footers.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely rebound the ball a little bit better than him. But I think as a group with bringing Tucker in, that shores it up. But we never had a backup power forward / center that's going to automatically give you 10 plus a game in the short time that we want to play, especially in meaningful games. So I think it's going to be, he's going to do exactly what Philly needs. He's an energy guy. I was thrilled with the signing.
Yeah, he's going to do exactly what we need him to do. I guess there's a little bit of worry from some people because him in LA may have a little bit been one of the reasons they got to the point where they were over Doc Rivers. Because like you said, he's not going to rebound as good as those guys, but he's not going to defend certain guys as well either. And in that Denver LA series, Doc was putting him on Jokic and blew a 3-1 lead, and he kind of refused to adjust, and he was out there, not many people can guard Jokic in the first place, but definitely not a 6'7" guy that's not known for his defense anyway. Are you worried at all that Doc Rivers loves him too much? You know what I mean? Because we know Doc Rivers loved DeAndre Jordan way too much, and he left him out there and argued with the media and the fans. I just hope he doesn't do something like that. If he's out there getting beat by Jokic or Giannis or somebody like that, like put somebody else on him. PJ Tucker, we've seen guard Giannis Antetokounmpo before, so I'm hoping Doc Rivers can be versatile. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that series was a tough ask for Trez. And again, at that point, he was literally a scoring option. Again, the down low scoring option, but he was probably averaging close to 18 to 20 points a game. He was playing like 27 minutes a game. That's not going to be needed here. And there's going to be matchups where he can't play that backup center role. Like if you ask anybody who's 6'7" to guard Jokic, well, good luck, good night. It's a wrap for you.
Yeah.
What we have when meaningful games come around of us in the East, I think his skill set is going to be more beneficial for the Sixers. But again, Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. I think that Clippers team as well, if you look at what they had in big men, remember, they were going all the way with the PGs and the Kawhis and whatnot. Was he there at that point?
I don't even remember. What year are we talking
Anyways,
about?
The Clippers, whether he was there or not, they really weren't big man heavy. And again, Paul Reed is still going to be fighting for some minutes. He didn't get it out the mud just to let it go. So we'll see how that thing
I think he was
transpires.
Injured. I think he was injured because I remember Paul George saying something about Doc Rivers after they blew that 3-1 lead. He said something like he was trying to use me wrong. He was trying to use me like a 3-point JJ Redick. And I think that was when Kawhi was there. But I'm not sure.
Regardless, they're big men. They didn't have 4s and 5s for days. And if you look at this roster now, with the uptick in minutes Paul Reed got, he still needs some consideration. Mm-hmm. Again, Tobias has been playing our 4. We just brought a guy in Tucker who can play 3 and 4. Who knows what they're going to do with Matisse Thybulle's minutes or whoever else they're going to play. I know that's another topic. Whoever else is going to play the 4. I mean, the 3. But you got now Reed, Tucker, Harris, and Trez. Now, of course, Tucker and Harris can play some 3, but it's not like the situation he had in LA where it was like, dang, Tucker is my first one up off the bench for center and for power forward. Like they didn't have the big man depth there where we do. So it's still going to be hard for Doc to be like, here, Trez, get 25 minutes in a game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a really good way to put it because the main reason he was out there getting smoked by Jokic is because he was sometimes in that series, I think he was the starting center or, him and Zubac were playing equal amount of minutes. And we won't have to worry about that.
Joel Embiid playing 40 minutes in the playoffs.
Joel's playing, So we won't have to worry about that. Montrez can just be a backup center for the 10, 15 minutes that he's going to play. So we really shouldn't. I guess Doc Rivers isn't going to have the ability to leave him out there because he's not going to have that big of a role on the team because of who we have at the center position. Speaking of Joel, do you think he cares about winning MVP anymore, or do you think he's now like, all right, just forget the MVP, I'm just trying to win games? I go back and forth with this because I just think he wants the MVP every year. I think he wants to be the greatest at everything, and he wants to retire and have 5 MVPs and 10 scoring titles. And but at the same time, like I want Joel Embiid to be healthy for the playoffs for the first time in his career. It sucks, man. It's like last year was the healthiest he's ever been. Last year was the healthiest he's ever been through a regular season, and we go 82 games, we get all the way to the playoffs, and this guy gets elbowed in the face and tears his ligament in his thumb. Do you think that has to do with like how much he plays during the regular season? Like, does he get worn down? I know he's 7'2", 285. Would you like to see Joel Embiid play less games during the regular season? I guess.
I mean, the fact of the matter is this: the less you're out there, the less chance you have to get hurt. Now, I understand that, right? However, if we're looking at Joel Embiid's career, this is the most he's played and the least injured he's been. Yes, he still got the injury. That thumb, your shooting thumb, it bothers you, but it's definitely a playable injury. Is there discomfort? Yeah. And that's one thing about Embiid. Great player. Love him to death. But he does not show or play or hold his injuries well. He just doesn't. Like his whole MO changes. He's not enjoying the game. He's not smiling. Mm-hmm. He does not play, but he shows his pain a lot. So it's tough because again, you're talking about when we lost to the Hawks. I hate to keep bringing that up. But what was that? That was an MCL. And so a leg injury to me is more on a big man. A leg injury is going to be more daring than wearing a mask or a thumb. And then all the years before that, just the injuries were worse when we babied him. Mm-hmm. And that's just facts on what happened. I wouldn't mind babying him just because it still comes down to the less games, less chance you have. And he does fall on the ground way too much. A man just throws his body left and right, which is like, it's cool and all if you're doing that at PJ Tucker's size. We love you for that. We don't want you to be doing that, big man. But when it comes down to it, Embiid got to stay healthy. I believe that we have a roster now, and the title of this is Maxey being more of a number one option. We might be able to give Embiid some of the time off he needs, and it really comes down to if Embiid's healthy, we can compete with what we have around. Not trying to discount, the other guys, but Embiid's still the stable piece of this whole thing. As it pertains to the MVPs, does he want it or not? Embiid's a competitor. He'll always want it, but I think he's at the point where, like, he said, actually, I don't need to think. He said it. He said, what else do I got to do? He finished second twice. Yeah. He finished second twice. This one was dirty. He definitely should have won this one. No ifs, ands, or buts. But I think now he's like this. I finished second, and this is crazy. He finished second twice. He's back-to-back losing in the second round. One of them things got to change. And I think the easiest thing is this team changing and us getting out of that second round. So I think if I'm Embiid, I want it all. But getting out of the second round, because I think that follows you more than not winning an MVP.
Yeah, that's true. You can be a 2, 3, 4-time MVP winner and not have a championship, and that's gonna follow you more.
Look at Harden, right? Yep. Harden is telling him, bro, I got the MVP. I didn't get a championship. Trust me, I get criticized day in and day out. Get the championship, bro.
Yeah, I guess a second part of that could be, I feel like we can win a lot of games without Joel Embiid, like the back-to-backs, things like that. Maybe when there's 3 games in 5 nights. There's a lot of teams that I think we can roll over with Maxey playing the way that he's been playing in just these 2 preseason games, but even how he was playing last season. You know what I mean? So it's like a balance. You want to try to find a happy medium, because you also don't want there to be, you don't want Maxey to get used to, I guess, playing without him, you know what I mean? Or get this like, I score like this when Joel Embiid's off the floor, and then Joel comes back, and then it's this learning curve again, you know what I mean? So it's like you got to find a happy medium of how much he plays, and like what your role is when he's on the floor, what your role is when he's off the floor, things like that. So, hopefully Doc can find a happy medium. But yeah, I think you're right, man. I think Embiid just wants to win. I go back and forth. It's like, because it's like he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna play less, because he's not gonna let anyone tell him to play less. Like, he's just I'm playing. I'm on the floor.
I think he feels good with his body. Like he's literally, last year, this year are his legit primes. And then I'm not saying he falls out of it, but this is the year to capitalize. And that's why I think if the trainers ask him, I agree with you. He's saying I'm out there.
Yeah, I guess I just want him to like play it a little safer in the regular season. Even though the injury happened in the playoffs, there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe Doc shouldn't have had him in there. We were up by 30 in the fourth quarter. But it's just a thing that seems to happen no matter what we do. He catches an elbow to the face, but I guess I want to see him just like uh, take care of himself during the game a little better by not trying to be Superman all the time. You know what I mean? The 2 years ago he had that meniscus tear because he tried to dunk on Robin Lopez, who he was playing against last night again, and. But I also don't think he's gonna change the way that he plays the game. It's almost like hoping Carson Wentz, would stop holding the ball and throw it away when he's supposed to. And some of these players, these athletes, they played that way their whole life. It's how they got there. It's really hard for them to change their mindset. Last night I saw Joel Embiid roll down the middle of the lane and like plow into 2 defenders and knocked everybody down like bowling pins. And I'm like, dude, come on! It's a preseason game and you're throwing yourself around. So I guess my hope for that. We just have to hope and pray because I would say he's probably not going to change the way that he plays the game.
The falling is never going to change. I think he's came out and said it. Like, I think to him, it feels better to fall on the ground than to like let his trying to land on his legs. You know what? I think actually falling is better for him because think about trying to catch yourself, and he's like almost 300 pounds. He's like 280 plus.
Yeah.
So trying to catch yourself on your legs at some of these times, the wrong weight, the wrong shift, bang, bang, boom, boom. And so I think he's even talked about it one time, like he likes falling, but to us, it's like it's rough.
I honestly kind of think that he's trained to fall that much. I think trainers are like, he had two foot surgeries, missed the first 2 years of his career. Then he had a knee and was out the rest of the season, his third season. Then he had another I think they got to the point where they're like, yeah, you're right. 280 pounds, 7'2". Like, don't try to catch yourself. Don't try to plant your feet when you're coming down. Just fall over every time. Because you're trying to save your ligaments. You're trying to save your ankles and your knees from 300 pounds coming down onto them. So,
let that weight distribute out your thigh, your torso, your shoulder. You know what I mean? Let that weight distribute that out. Don't let that come down on your lower half. Yeah. So I don't know, but again, to us, it's like, big men falling always look rough, right? You see little Trae Young fall, it's like, man, get up. Big man fall. That's a long way down.
Yeah, and then he can try to brace himself, put his hand down, and then you got a wrist and an elbow and everything else. So yeah, it's scary every time. You hold your breath every single time Joel falls, but it's like 10 times a game. You're right. The first comment in this chat was we got 2 super chats here. Hold on, Rasan Granderson, thank you for a $5 super chat. Everyone should have just been watching Harden's movement. He's moving way better, which was his biggest issue. He will have a great season. Watch this. That's all I was watching in the preseason game. Like, I knew it was a preseason game. I wasn't out here like Harden better come out here and drop 40 to prove to everyone that he's back in. And I think that's what a lot of people expected, and that's what they wanted. They're like, oh, Harden's back in. He worked all off season. He's supposed to be back to being elite. Let's watch him drop 50 in a preseason game. And it's a preseason game, man. That's like, he just went out there, ran up and down the floor, drove to the lane a couple times. I mean, he had a wide open fast break dunk and he just laid it in. Like, he's not even going to waste any energy on a preseason game. But yeah, I agree with Rasan that he looks like he's moving better. That left, right, that just the quickness of his dribble. He looks bouncier. I'm excited for it, man. I really am.
The first step, yeah, that first step is what you saw last year. Sometimes he's not been able to get around the guy off that first step. And he definitely looked more bouncy. And it's like that, like it's like the whole thing. Let's bring it to this. Since you brought the Carson Wentz thing up, Jalen Hurts against the Jets, week 1, first preseason, he didn't even target AJ Brown. Oh no, our new toy's not even getting the ball. Now he's third in the NFL in receiving yards. Yeah. Like, it's preseason. AJ Brown's been doing it. They know each other off. Let's get to the big thing.
Yeah, same thing happened the first game when Devontae didn't have a catch. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, are you worried about what, man? Get the ball to who's open. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Rudy Poo, thanks for the super chat. Nets fans are jumping off ship in preseason game number 2. After this stream, bro, I'm going to Twitter. I've been looking forward to this for so long because, like, I've never felt like calling something was so easy in my life. I just never felt like it was so easy. I knew this guy wouldn't improve. He's never given anybody a sign of him improving at all, ever. And it was just a lot of fun for me to finally this guy's gone. Finally, it's not our issue. And then I get to watch a whole new fan base who happens to be a rival convince themselves that this guy's going to shoot the ball. Something's going to be different. And in second preseason game, apparently, they're already tweeting, why is he not attacking the basket? The dude, man, he's got some serious... I'm actually starting to feel bad because it looks awkward out there at this point. Like, he looks really scared of playing basketball. And he might have been telling the truth when he was saying all that stuff. I'm not mentally ready. Like, maybe you just got to retire, bro, because I don't know if this is for him or not, but I'm having fun watching Nets fans get mad at him already, man.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, some people are like, I hate when people tell me to stop talking about him. It's like, bro, this is a one-of-one situation.
It'll never happen again.
This is a guy who you invested everything. He was, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And again, even a guy like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Sheesh, couldn't do it with him. And it's emotional getting into when someone's like defends him. It's like a trigger in the sense of defend what? Like, there's nothing to defend. You can't defend character. You can't defend basketball. You can't defend nothing here. And it was crazy. I didn't get to watch the game, but I definitely checked it out. But him kind of just wetting the bed once again against us. What do you have, like 6 points, 0 for 2 from the free throw line or something like that? Bro. And then I seen the next day they were like Simmons sizzles or something like that. Like, what?
It was on my birthday, man. It was amazing. I had 3 friends over at my house, and we were all. I wasn't even sitting down. It was like the Super Bowl for me to watch this guy play against the Sixers, man. And the very first possession, he comes out, pump fakes a mid-ranger, and emergency passes the ball, and Maxey comes down and hits a 3. Like, I couldn't have written it any better. It was absolutely the most perfect thing I could have wanted. And it was an exact example of those two mentalities. Like, this is this player's mentality and this is this player's mentality, and now he's your problem. Yeah, people tell me all the time to stop talking about him, but it really is a once in a lifetime. I've never seen anybody do this and act like this and play like this and then bail and then try to sue the team, and you've never seen anybody do this. So I mean, he's lost all respect of the legends. Shaq hates him. It's something that everyone's always going to talk about because it's just such a once-in-a-lifetime weird, awkward situation. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and then when I saw House pulling up that little Snapchat, the little snapshot of House on Twitter, and I see you can't give 25 to a shooter like that. Like, don't use that jersey for a minute. Out of all the numbers, bro, I would have told him to pick another number. You can't rock that number the following year. Don't retire it. Just
he hit his first one
for a little bit.
He hit his first 3-pointer in the preseason though, Daniel House. So hey,
yeah,
I think he resurrected the number 25 already off of that.
He only needs 2 more and he passed Ben.
That's absolute facts, man. Did any of that? Did you see any of that JJ Redick interview? Did any of that piss you off?
I saw it. I was. He said, "I still own real estate in Philly, so I still feel like a part of them."
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I knew what that was though. People made that out oh, you got to watch this, This is, and I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. It's not like JJ's gonna get up there and ask him some tough questions. Why would he do that? And it pissed the guy off on your own show and stuff. So yeah, that was
the farthest he got. And I know you probably watched it, you just didn't really comment on it. But the farthest he got, it was like the worst thing he said to him was bro, it did look bad though. And Sim was like, yeah, when I watched it back, it was bad. But in the moment, he started making it sound like it was the most dramatic thing that happened to him. And then JJ was kind of okay in it, but JJ, no, you've been in a moment. There's no moment. There's no moment of that. That wasn't a moment. That was a couple games. Yeah, it finished it off the same way we were saying you've been doing for the last couple games. But it was more than a moment. But like I said, the worst thing he said to him was for us watching, that was bad. You should have dunked the ball. And then Ben's like, yeah, I should have, but it's over now. It's no, but it wasn't. That was just the cherry on top.
Mm-hmm.
the cherry is the first thing you eat, the first thing you look at on a Sunday, and probably what you talk about, how it makes it not whatever. It completes it, but there was a lot more lot more stuff that happened.
He knew he couldn't come back after that, man. The fan base was so over it at that point. That was a cherry on top. And James Harden last year, he didn't look like, I guess the first 4 games he looked great, and then we were let down in the playoffs, and the fans started booing. And James found out firsthand really quick, within a couple of months, this is Philly. If you don't show up, they will let you know that they paid money to drive there, to wasted time. You know what I mean? Like, they really take it seriously. And he got booed by the Philly fans. And guess what? He said, I need to go get in shape. The Philly fans were booing me because I was out of shape. My hamstring wasn't 100% yet. I was slow. I was there. He looked right in the mirror and accepted all the criticism and said, if I want to go be elite or have a couple of great more years in the NBA, I got to go do this, and this in the offseason. So it's just a perfect example of most athletes want to be great and can look in the mirror and can accept the criticism and say, yeah, I need to do this. Jalen Hurts last season. I mean, the things that he did in the offseason blew my mind, and I'm so glad. I couldn't be happier that he's making me look like a hater. I'm absolutely happy about it because I didn't think it was possible. I thought maybe you would see marginal improvement. I didn't think you were going to see a 4-0, like top 5 in the NFL so far, and like accuracy percentage and all that. So, just some players can't accept the criticism.
Yeah, real quick though, like you said, first round pick, 2nd overall, Carson Wentz, way more talented physically than or gifted with height, strength, size, mechanics than Jalen Hurts. This guy in year 3, year 2 starting year 3, put in the work. Things we didn't see in college, we're seeing in the NFL, and vice versa. Maxey was not a good shooter. He was a guy who can score in the lane. That's it. He didn't have a mid-range jump shot, and he dang sure didn't have a three-pointer, and you can't survive in today's game with that. So again, Ben Simmons came into the league with everything Maxey didn't have. He's as fast as Maxey. He's bigger than Maxey. He's stronger than Maxey. And they both are not playing in Philly. And the Hurt season, Maxey season, and it's crazy. These are, 2nd-round picks and pretty much a 2nd-round pick with being 21st in the NBA. And these guys are showing heart.
Yeah. I said that with Wentz when the last season he was in Philly. That was when I was finally over his stuff because I realized, like, this dude doesn't do anything in the offseason. He doesn't. He hunts. Yeah, he goes up and he hunts and he eats steak and potatoes, man. And he comes back and looks, I mean, you're right, man. He doesn't put in the work, and, he had all the natural ability, and now look, he's like, what are they, 1-3 right now? I mean, who would have thought the Giants, would be better? So yeah, that's a pretty good analogy there. Players that can look in a mirror and accept the criticism and understand what they need to work on versus guys that have just been really good at something their whole life that are like, this is good enough. This will be fine. You know what I mean? And I'm glad it's not our problem anymore, man. I'm so glad. We do still have a couple of problems though.
Yeah, but how do you feel about Thibault? I know we saw prior to the first preseason game him shooting them corner threes, swish, swish, swish.
You can't. I don't know. You can't change a jump shot. It's very rare for somebody to change a jump shot. It's something you've done your whole life. It's like learning how to walk when you were 2 years old, and then all of a sudden you're 25, and you're like, all right, now you have to walk this way everywhere you go. And can you change the way you walk?
No, like if you change your jumps, that's a high school thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a high school, maybe you're a good player. Actually, you make the team because you're an athlete, but you got a weird shot and they start working on that with you. Like, and that's why, mechanics are different because it's slower body stuff. It's learning how to place your feet, but your throwing motion is still your throwing motion, and same normally with your jump shot. I mean, trust me, Sean Marion would have tried to change that frog shot if he could, but he didn't want to. And I don't even care how it looks. Because I mean, if he could, Sean Marion's was the ugliest one I've seen. And he was still a key player, could make his threes in an era where threes weren't necessity. Now it is, bro. If you can't shoot a three, I don't care if you're 7 foot tall. Like, you got to shoot a three. There's no more of the big man that comes in that just dominates the league only dunking.
Yeah.
You know, not anymore. Because if you're a big man like that, like Giannis is big, but he's also he's versatile. He can move. He's quick. Like, there's no such thing. You're not going to see another Shaquille O'Neal where he's a bad free throw shooter, bad shooter in general. You need to have guys like Jokic, Cat, Embiid, the Suns guy, even though he's not a great version of it. Ayton. But you can't. Anybody who's playing basketball right now, if you were watching this and you're a teenager, no matter how tall you are, you could be 6'7". Shoot the ball, or you're done. I don't care how fast you are, you're done. Shoot the ball.
Yeah. There's not many Montrezl Harrells out there. You're not going to average 16 in your NBA career without being able to shoot a jumper, unless you're pretty much him or Dennis Rodman, or I think that's it maybe. I agree with that, man. You got to be able to shoot the ball. Matisse Thybulle, especially if you're going to be a small forward, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you're 6'5", and the only position you seem like you fit in the NBA is a wing, and you can't shoot. So what? It's another one of those players that, like, he does this well, but he does this so bad that it gets to the point where it overshadows the things that he does well, to the point where he's unplayable. He was unplayable in the Toronto series, and I thought we should have traded him for whatever we could have got for him, because teams were still on this, maybe we can get Matisse Thybulle and bolster our defense. The Bulls writers were talking about it. Maybe if Chicago gets Matisse Thybulle, they'll be a top 10 defensive team in the NBA, and then this, or this. So I was like, we got to trade this guy before anybody finds out that you actually can't play him in the playoffs. You're playing 4-on-5 right away, and you're absolutely right about the form. It doesn't matter. I think maybe trying to change a player's form like that isn't even a good idea, because now you're in his head and he's thinking about it. He's thinking, I got to shoot it like this instead of this, and that might actually make him worse at it, and it might make him less confident when he's wide open, and he was already not confident. So maybe you should be like, what Sean Marion's like, or some other players that have funky jump shots that just shoot it 1,000 times. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Get good at shooting it like that. I don't know. Do you think there's any improvement on the horizon, I guess, for Matisse Thybulle?
I don't know. It's tough. And, he got to be willing to do it. And the crazy thing is, though, like, him being in a starting lineup or him being in the back with the backups, I don't know where he fits in, to be honest. And it's tough. This is an offensive driven league. Yes, you gotta play defense in spurts, right? But at the end of the day, it's normally over 100 points scored, stay close, and then, get your key stops in the fourth quarter. But you got to be able to shoot free throws. You got to be able to shoot the jump shot, especially at his size and where we're playing him at. And I just don't know. I feel like, I've seen people grow their shots. I just don't know where his mindset is, in the sense of, like, again, is he content? You know what I mean? Like there's still, he's too much of a lovable guy, like a funny guy. Like, Maxey's funny, but you still see some grind in him. Like, there's people, like, I'm not just talking look. I'm just talking about, we hear them talk after the game and stuff, and their mindset. He's more of a guy that, to me, is like, I'm an NBA player, but I love vlogging, and, like, I'm not saying you can't do that. You can have your outside life. Yeah.
You have to be good.
But I think that when you are a player that does something good on one side of the ball, play defense, and, when there's something glaringly wrong in your game, I think you should be more focused on it, and or bring it up more, and or just, I think like asking him, he's just like, yeah, I practice. Where Maxey's like, of course. Like, just the answer, yeah. I think they're both saying yes, but how they say it is how much work they put in behind the scenes. I don't need IG videos to know you're working out, but you can tell in the response, like, yeah, I've been shooting, or, man, that's all I did. Like, I don't know if he's that kind of guy. And so
at the end of the day, not to keep bringing up 2-5, but last year, 2 years ago, there was an article written, and somebody that knew one of his friends was like, don't let the Instagram videos fool you. This guy does not work on his game at all. He was in this article saying this, and he was like, he hangs out in LA all summer. He does not work on his game. And it always shows on the field. Jalen Hurts says the same thing all the time. He says if you put into work, it's going to show. So a guy can say he puts into work all the time, and then he shows up on the court, and he looks like that, and you're like, looks like you're not putting into work, because Tyrese Maxey doesn't have to talk the talk at all. It's going to show because he's putting into work every single day. It's impossible to not get better at something if you're shooting the ball 100,000 times a week or whatever it is. Like, it's impossible for that to not improve if you're putting in that repetition. It's like lifting weights. If you're going to bench press once a week, you're going to get stronger. It's just going to happen. If you show up a year later and you can't put up the same amount of weight and you're still the same size, you weren't bench pressing, bro. Stop telling us you were.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like you said, stay with Maxey. Maxey was barely a 30% shooter in college. So, like, I don't know what Thibault shot in college. I still would say that Maxey was more of a scorer regardless, because he definitely could still get to the lane and do that stuff better than Matisse. And he probably shot more threes than Matisse. But, I mean, how much worse can Matisse be coming out of college than Maxey? He wasn't good. And so I'm not even telling him to be as good at shooting threes as Maxey, but you obviously saw in that little bit of time Maxey went from this to this. So it's proven that you can do it. And Maxey didn't just come in here to work on his threes. My man's got better at every aspect of the game. Yep. So we're not asking him to be a top dribbler on his team, a top screen setter. We're not asking him to run around and just catch and shoot. We want you to stand still and shoot, and you will be open because of Embiid and Maxey and Harden and even Harris at times. You will be there were times last year that he was open, and when they moved it past to him, the defense started to run and rotate over heavy, and then looked and said, "Oh, it's Matisse. Never mind. I'm going back to my guy."
Yeah, that first game in Philly against Toronto, I was done, because it happened in the first couple possessions of the game. James kicked it down into the corner. He caught the ball, and the defense, they moved farther away from him once he got the ball, and he airballed it or something. I was like, oh my God, this is not okay. This is not okay. So I guess that's one of those players that everybody is down on for the right reasons, and if he proves everybody wrong somehow, some way, we'll be happy about it. I definitely don't see that one improving. I think I can stand on that. Before we get up out of here, somebody in the chat, how many points a game are we expecting Melton to average? I'm saying 11. They say in the chat. And that's another a topic for me is Melton and Milton. You know what I mean? Who's a backup point guard? They were playing together in the game yesterday, and I think I like that dynamic. I think Shake Milton is a pick and roll guy and more of a ball handler. And I think Melton's more of a combo guard. Melton plays better defense, but I just personally want to see a whole lot more of DeAnthony Melton than I do Shake Milton. I just think the kid has more athleticism, more dog in him, and is an all-around better player. I don't know if he'll average 11 off the bench. If he does, that's great for us, man.
Yeah, I would like to know the minutes before I go out and make that statement. With Doc, you never know. I think, the Shakes, that is a role where I think he might want to keep Shake over Melton, where it's like, you're doing it wrong. And if we see it by we see it by game 8, well, guess what? He's not going to change it till game 21. He might still change it, but a while's away. With that being said, if you can come in and give us a solid 8-piece off the bench, that is beautiful for the minutes. I think if he can get between 8 and 11, he gets double digits. Well, then I'm thinking he's playing at least 15 minutes a game. 15 minutes averaging double digits. That's almost 0.75 points per minute. That's not easy to keep as an average, because you can have 11, you can have 13, and you can have one game where you only get 3. That average is dropping big time. You know what I mean? So he averages 11, then it was the steal of a pick. We did give our first round pick for him. Again, it's not like you can pull out a Maxey in the 20s all the time.
Right.
And I do like him. I think he's, he's underrated on a team like Memphis was so stacked with young players. That's why they got rid of him. And we're a team that can use more young players. So I think it was a win-win for both teams. But if you're asking me what that pick did for Memphis with all their youth and what he's going to do for us, I think we definitely won the trade.
Yeah, I think he was just a little bit redundant in Memphis. I think they have a lot of players like him. You know what I mean? So they were like, can we really...
They're deep. Yeah, they're deep. Yeah.
Can we really find a role for this guy? Should we just go ahead and get an extra first-round pick out of it? I think in the playoffs, he kind of lost a lot of minutes to some other players, and that's just how it worked out for him. So I think it was probably a win-win for both. I think he fits a lot better, and we can use his services a lot better. Stu Vision, thanks for the super chat, man. Happy belated birthday. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, man. So if the Sixers stay healthy, they're a championship contender. Am I correct about that?
Yeah. Listen, I thought we were a championship contender last year. We got only better this year. And for us, being so, again, losing in the second round is disgusting because that's the second round. With that being said, there's never been a team to make that big of a splash trade in the middle of it and then go on to win. So, like, as much as I wanted to say, and we talked about it. Remember when we did the thing with, like, the two girls, Simone and Kayla? Mm-hmm. We talked about, like, this team is better than what team and not, like the Toronto series and all that. But at the end of the day, it's never what's never been done is hard to do. And so now we have the same team last year that is better, more deeper, and two key contributors, I think are going to play better. I think Maxey's going to take a big step up, and Harden's going to be more efficient than he was last year. So I got us definitely as a contender. Top 3 spot in the East should be in reach.
So you got Harden more of like a Chris Paul role, and Maxey more of the second scoring option.
I want Harden to pick his games where he scores. Again, like, my thing is, if Harden only has 12 points, well, it better be an efficient 12 points. See, I'm not mad if we're winning. Maxey's doing what we think he can do. Harden only has one game 12, next game 21, next game 16, next game 18, next game 15. But they're efficient. That means he's shooting the ball this many times, he's scoring. What sucks is when he got 15, but he shot the ball 9 times.
Yeah.
He shot the ball 10 times, he got 15. Well, now It's like you're jacking and you're missing. So I think that someone like the Eagles, we have a pick. I think there's going to be nights where it's like, all right, Harden, all right, Maxey. And there is going to be a night or two out of an 82 game where Harris gives you one of these 29-point games. Don't need it as much as we needed it in the past. But every 15, every 20 games, you're going to see something for him too. I think this is the deepest team we had under Embiid and the strongest team. So stay healthy, and I think we're top 3C for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man. Something you said at the beginning of the stream, Embiid's, you can't really create your own shot as a center. You know what I mean? A lot of people get on him like he's not the guy or he can't lead this team or whatever. I think that all has to do with the fact that he's a 7-foot, 280-pound center, and it's easy to shut down a center if the perimeter players aren't stepping up. It just is. You can just throw 3 big guys in there, and he can't move without offensive fouling somebody or whatever. So, the perimeter players have to be there. They have to be playing at a high level. Shaq needed Kobe. Shaq needed Dwayne Wade. If Shaq didn't have perimeter players playing like that, they'd triple team Shaq, offensive foul every time. It's the same situation. So I agree with you, man. And thanks for coming on, Mike, man. We got to do this more often, bro. I appreciate you.
No doubt, no doubt.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming in, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm going to go watch the lowlights of the Brooklyn Nets game and argue with some Nets fans on Twitter, because that's going to be a lot of fun for me right now.
Yep. When in doubt, talk that trash. That's what Twitter's about.